Okay, so the big number that sits here, that's called the base. The little bitty number that sits next to it is called the exponent. Now, this stuff goes with something called PEMDAS, and PEMDAS is order of operation. In math, when you hear the word operations, you should think of the 4 main math skills. What are the 4 main math skills that we use? The 4 main math operations. So, yes, James.
Multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction.
Perfect. Those are the 4 main ones. Those are the ones that you have been seeing since you were a little bitty kiddo in kindergarten. But now you're entering into algebra world.
Oh, well.
Okay. So as soon as you get into like the next math world, kind of like in your video games, she's the next level. Now we're going to see new stuff. So now we're going to see this is going to become a math operation. What are those things? Parentheses. They're going to become a math operation. This thing, right here, that little tiny number that hangs at the top is now going to become a math operation. What is that thing? Exponent. So now we've added some operations to your math world. Okay? So if you look at the word PEMDAS, there's a letter that represents each one of those math operations. What do you think the P represents? What do you think the E means?
Exponents.
What do you think the M is? D.
Division.
A. S.
Subtraction.
That's where that word came from. Because now we have all these operations that we're going to put into play. Now it's called order of operations because there's a certain order you have to do it in. Just like if I was going to take a bath, there's an order as to how I would take a bath. I would not turn the water on, get in, sit down, then take my shoes, my socks, and my shirt off. Right? That would not be the right order. If I was going to take a bath, I would do all that other business before I got in the water. Right? If you don't do it in the right order, you're going to end up with a mess. So, same is true in math. If you don't do things in the right order, you're not going to end up with the right answer. So I tell you all of this because exponents matter. Because if this is your new math world, you've got to know how to play with exponents. So what is an exponent? An exponent is not just that little bitty number that sits next to the big number. Yes, that's what it looks like, but that's not what it means. What it means is this, and you need to get this into your notes. So, an exponent tells me how many times to use the base as a factor. Now, when you're writing that definition, do not put the number 10 inside your definition. Just tell yourself that an exponent is how many times to use the base, which is the big number, as a factor. That's what an exponent does. So now that you know that definition, I gave you an example. The example that I shared with you on the board, and I'm going to share it down here as well on our screen. The example is the number 2 to the 3rd power. Now that you know the definition of an exponent, what do you think this means?
I didn't get the definition down.
Emily thinks she's got it. Hang on it. Let's give your teammates a chance to see if they can figure it out. The definition tells me that an exponent tells me how many times to use the base as a factor. Emily, what does it mean?
Like, what do you mean? Like, how much is this?
Yeah, like what do I do? If this was my math problem, if like somebody showed me this and said solve that,
Well, when you do the exponent, how many times that number is, the base, the 2 is right now, you put out 3 times.
good girl, very good. So she just took that definition and she put it into math practice. She said, I'm going to take the base And I'm gonna multiply it how many times? 3. So it would look like this. 2 times 2 times 2. That's what it looks like. Now, what is 2 times 2 times 2? Max? No. Mistake that everybody makes. Colin? I'll come back to it. Rory? 8. Now, how did they do that? Well, here's how they did it. Start with what we know. What's 2 times 2? 4. But my problem's not finished because I still have to multiply this 2 that's left. And when I do, what do I get? 8. Now, I love that Max said 6 because he did the mistake that almost all of you will sometimes make. And that is looking at something that looks so easy and giving an answer that's not right. Because what did his brain do? His brain saw that there was a 2 and a little 3, and his brain wanted to multiply those 2 together. And that's where he first said 6. But that's not what an exponent is. Now, an exponent does not put those 2 things together, but instead, it means how many times to multiply that big number. Now, this is what PEMDAS will do. It's going to lead us to this. So let's do one more practice before we have to break for lunch, okay? What if you had this? What if you had 3 to the 2nd power? That's how I say that, 3 to the 2nd power. So think, what is an exponent? It's when I take my base and I multiply it that many times. What am I going to get, Hallie?
3 after 2 times.
Okay,
And you would multiply them together.
and what is it?
You would get 9.
9. That's my answer. So 3 to the 2nd power is actually 9. Now, do you have to show that work? No. Because shouldn't you be able to do this in your head?
Yes.
Yes. Now, if you can't, you don't have to. But exponents, that's what it's telling us to do. Okay, we are just on first base. For those of you that are baseball players, we've only made it to first base, and we've got to get all the way around to home plate. So, we're just starting. We'll pick up here after lunch.